I know I'm late to the party when it comes to Ironheart, but I need to know that we're all seeing what I'm seeing and that we're all as uncomfortable watching this as I was. I'm gonna need you to let me land on this one because it is an objective fact that the levels of anti-Semitism have gone up since October 7th. And logically, if levels of anti-Semitism are going up since October 7th, the only logical explanation has to be that people are wrongly blaming all Jewish people for the actions of the Israeli government. And why has that been happening? It's because certain journalists and politicians have been pushing this narrative that anybody who opposes the Israeli government's actions must hate all Jews. Which in my view is itself anti-Semitic because it implies that all Jewish people must be somehow associated with the actions of the Israeli government. And that is objectively bullshit because there are Jewish people who march against the Israeli government's actions every single week. And so you have this paradox where the people who blindly defend the Israeli government are actually the most to blame for the rise of anti-Semitism. Which brings us back to Ironheart, and so spoiler alert in 3, 2, 1. Sacha Baron Cohen playing Mephisto in this scene, especially what he says about himself, is insane to me. Because Sacha Baron Cohen, from what I'm seeing, does take a pro-Israel stance and has facilitated the narrative that hostility against the Israeli government is the same as hostility against all Jewish people, including thanking Joe Biden for backing Israel after they started bombing Gaza. And while yes, Sacha Baron Cohen has never explicitly said he supports the Israeli government's actions, by his own logic, he kind of does. Because when talking about Borat, he said not everybody in Germany had to be a raging anti-Semite, they just had to be apathetic. So basically, not speaking up makes you complicit. So by his own logic, if he's only willing to speak up in defense of the 1,200 victims on the Israeli side, but not the 50 to 100,000 victims on the Palestinian side, then he is complicit in those atrocities. So his own actions alone have been part of what's been painting an even bigger target on the backs of Jewish people in recent years. But what he is doing in Ironheart is playing into every anti-Semitic stereotype you can even think of. Because he is a Jewish man playing somebody who, in this scene, he says is controlling the puppet strings of pretty much every powerful person on the planet. And this is what the character that he's playing looks like in the comics. A trope that is so risky to ascribe to a Jewish person that my man actually made fun of that level of anti-Semitism in Borat with the running of the Jew. Now yes, is there anti-Semitism in the movement against Israel? Of course, because if you're anti-Semitic, obviously you're not going to be a fan of the Jewish state. And so we should all be aware and call out anti-Semitism when we see it. Well, I see it!